Thank you for tuning in with us every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. About our host, Carlotta Taylor is not just a survivor of child abuse, but has grown into what we come to know as our personal thriver against all odds, who no longer flinches at adversity, but overcomes with authority. Carlotta decided to find the courage to say yes to herself. Miss Taylor has piece by piece faced her biggest adversary, the brokenness, and healed not only herself, but has also affected thousands through her outreach and influence. Carlotta Taylor is the author of the best-selling book, No More Flinching. Getting to the heart of the matter has always been what Carlotta is about. To keep in touch, text Carlotta to 888-111. It's time for the show to begin. It wouldn't be the same without you, because this is the place people bond worldwide, sharing powerful stories, prevailing over adversity. The heart of the matter is the people's joy. Now, turn your attention to our host, Carlotta Taylor, as the show begins.
COVID-19. That's what the world knows today as the epidemic. But the real epidemic is cancer. When I say the word cancer, how does that make you feel? Does someone come to mind? I know my grandmother comes to mind. She lost her life to cancer over a few decades ago. Today, there's a woman who is not just a victim and not just a survivor of cancer, but she's a champion. And she's bringing people together all across the globe. She has a powerful story. She's from Southern California, one of 5 in 4 generations to still be alive today, surviving and fighting the good fight. Joining us today is Tamara Hunter. Please welcome her as she comes to the stage. Hello, how you doing, Tamara? How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Amazing. I'm so glad to see you too. It's so good seeing you again. Wow.
Yes. We saw each other in the greater Chicagoland area at the Stan Mansion, where you were one of the MCs there.
That's right. Oh, bring back those good memories, why don't you?
Yeah. Bring them on.
Yes, bring them on. Come on. Wow. Let's just jump right into it, because we have a lot to discuss today, and we have a lot to educate our viewers on today. What does getting to the heart of the matter mean to you?
You know, it's getting right to it. Let's focus. Let's get right into it. And like I always have told my kids, not being afraid to just look at things as they are. Because when we get to the heart of the matter, when we look at the truth and the facts, we can then get to the heart of the matter. We can make something happen. And in truth, too, the heart of the matter is to keep that heart in that focus, too. Because I do believe in unconditional love. I believe that love, the frequency of love, can actually change the world. And we can do that together. So, the heart of the matter, it's like an onion. There's many layers.
It's layers to this.
Yes. Yeah.
So many layers. I'm so happy that you're here today and happy to roll out your amazing story. We always like to take it back, because childhood development is so key and essential. So take us back to little Tamara. Tell us, how was life growing up for you?
Well, you could say I was really lucky, because I grew up in Southern California. Most people think, the sun, the sand, the surf, and all of that neat stuff. Well, I was allergic to the sun, and I was a bit of a bubble kid. And when I was little, no one could understand what I was saying, because my mouth wasn't formed correctly. So I had to wear headgear. And so I was that kid going to school that everybody was like, and what that did was it was a blessing in so many different ways. Again, the heart of the matter. You have to look at what is it that you can learn from all of this. I learned at a very young age to overcome so many different things, and that the strength was within me. My mom would teach me. I didn't know what it was, but she'd say, okay, I want you to think of a movie theater. Think of the drive-in. And then think of the empty screen. And then what do you want to paint that movie to look like tonight? Let's talk about this visualization, and that anything and all things are possible. Just have to work hard. So that was the take home of the little girl, Tamara. And then I decided that, okay, it was time to leave my little one horse town. You were there when we played my hometown video, which was not an easy thing to do, because everybody has their story. I have one. And yet at 16 years old, I graduated from high school and left the hometown and went out into the big bad world. However, it was a big bad, great world to go out to.
Well, I love the way you said big, bad, great world. What a perspective to put on the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe it. I absolutely, down to my tiptoes, believe it, because we as human race, as a global family, it's about Impactor was all about. It was about impacting the world, and we as a global family can do exactly that. And anything and all things are possible when we wake up each and every morning. And so I'm always excited for the next day. In fact, many times I wake up in the middle of the night just ready to get going, because I want to hit that ground. It might be the commute's not as long these days. That's kind of nice too. To make a difference, right?
Yes, it's all about making an impact and making a difference. I have a question for you. You
Sure.
mentioned you had to go around school with something on your headgear.
Yeah.
Did that cause you to get bullied growing up in some form or fashion?
You could say, this is where you can flip any story you want. I choose to look at it that I had opportunities to grow through some people having an opinion that I didn't have to share. And that opinion was theirs. I never owned it. And so did I cry over it? Oh, I had a few tears. Did I have those days where I didn't want to show up again? Oh, yeah, I did. Am I human? Oh, yes, in every single which way. However, what happened because of this? It was a training ground. It was a wonderful training ground to say, I ended up to the principal's office because I couldn't go out on the playground. I'm living in Southern California. I can't go out in the sun because the sun doesn't like me. So I ended up in the principal's office one time and said, okay, kind of talked about it. She gave me a task. She said, okay, I have a special need for a job for you. She made me an ambassador for the school, an elementary school. I have this stuff, right? There was a little girl that also couldn't go out on the playground. I'll never forget it. And she had fingers that were very different than my fingers. She was very short. You purple. You could see that she wasn't thriving and doing well. And the principal said, I want you to be her ambassador. I want you to take care of her. I want you to help her. And so I remember her being, sharing the love with her and helping her to get through her day. And so then we had each other. And the others, I almost felt sorry for them because they didn't have that special bond that I ended up having with, and, I won't say her name, but I remember it to this day, and it was a very unique name. And so it's a matter of perspective. Life does not guarantee us to be easy. In fact, if anything, if we're breathing, most likely we're going to have a few stories, and I have plenty of them. I have lived my share of life. However, with that said, I also, and I'm not a Pollyanna, I look at things the heart of the matter. However, there is so much power in belief. I'm a believing person. And how could I say I'm a believing person if I don't truly live my belief?
Wow. I just think that is so incredible. Your story, how you could have placed someone else in your same position as a child, and they would have had total different views on that.
Mhm.
And a lot of people have taken their own life and been in bounds of depression that led them all the way up into their adult years. But here you are, Tamara Hunter out of Southern California with a good old twist. So viewers, at this time, please, however you are watching, whether it's by way of E360 TV, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, make sure you are sharing this message because the world needs to hear Tamara's Hunter's story. All right. So just jump back in there. Wow, Tamara. Amazing point of view. Literally, you almost brought me to tears because I'm listening to the story and I'm getting all the feels of you and this other person that's making a connection and your point of view to turn it from something negative to something positive. Kudos to you. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's move past childhood and up into young adulthood. How did life roll out for you then?
Well, I've always been a bit of a strong personality within a bubble person. Think of the Bubble movie, the Bubble Kid. That basically was my life. Yet I never let it define me. I found ways around it. And so I graduated at 16. And then I decided I wanted to move to another state. I just wanted to do that. And I was 18 years old. So I got a one-way ticket. I packed everything in 4 suitcases and I had a pair of skis because there was snow there. And I knew one person and I decided, okay, I'm going. So I went and I had an amazing adventure. From there, end up having, and a lot of people don't know this because I don't talk a lot about it, but I have 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl, and they are now all adults, and 3 of which were special needs when they were born. I just wrote a chapter in this best-selling book, my very first book of many that are coming out, that it talks about there was I have lived that life where I was in an abusive situation. We had to go underground. We had to run for our lives, on and on and on and on. And been there, and I've done that and survived that. It's mastering our mountains and mastered them. And I will say, and that's why the statement that you made in the very beginning of the show, where, on record, yes, COVID is the, pandemic right now. However, if you guys want a check to really right now, if you guys want to make a difference in this world, I want you to get your pen and paper out and I want you to write this down. Go check out the World Health Organization predictions for the next 10 years from 2020 to 2030. On what is going to happen throughout the world when it comes to cancer. The predictions are dire. I will tell you, be ready. Have your seatbelt on so you don't fall off your chair. However, with that said, keep reading because this is where the good news is. This is where the nugget is. This is where we need to band together because we can. It even says in there that by prevention, by education, by a lot of, good eating habits, by being aware that we can reduce what might be an 80% increase down by 30 to 50%. I'm talking different in the less affluent countries, which we work with, and the more affluent countries. There's still wrong. There's still big issues, but we can do something about it. And the thing, Carlotta, is that what I ran on for the Impactor, what my passion is since I, when I ran for it, all roads lead back to the nonprofit, the 501c3 community that we are building throughout the world. And we actually, for this last year, we kind of did a test case. We call it a chat, and brought in all these different educations and modalities, and but we're not about treatment. That's not what we are about. We're about the community, the people, but educating things on frequency, words, power of our words, all these things, because you know what, they really have something to do with healing. Then not hiding, back to the heart of the matter, not hiding from the matter, getting to the heart of the matter, focus, getting that bullseye.
Yes.
And when you need to go for a test, go for that test, not being afraid of it, not being afraid, because that fear can actually play tricks on us. So we actually can change the predictions. Those are only predictions. We're going to change the outcome, but all of us have to band together. And that is what, every single day that's why I can't wait to wake up, because I'm seeing every day I see miracles.
Wonderful.
Every day I see miracles.
Wow. Every day I see miracles. That sounds like a wonderful affirmation to me. Speaking of nonprofit, let's take a look at the work that you've been doing lately.
Okay.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
If you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Wow. Amazing. Let's see if I can stop that. There we go. We're back. Amazing work. Very heartfelt video. I got all the feels watching that. Thank you for the work we do. Now let's talk about your own personal fight with cancer. Let's dive in there. We'll get back to the nonprofit a little later.
It's all interconnected. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Walk us through your process and your story.
Well, it's a doozy. Okay, so and all are. Okay, so and to understand it is to understand, yes, 5 people, 4 generations. 2 of them actually did pass away. My grandfather and my mother. 3 lived, my brother, myself, and my daughter. So my grandfather, my mother, my brother, I only have 1 sibling, my daughter, and myself all heard those 3 words. You have cancer. All right, so by the time I heard mine, I had already been through my daughter's journey, and that was a much harder journey, being a mom. She's 19 years old. I hear these words, and I'm like, I'll never forget. My brother had been a survivor, and he's like, okay, first thing you do, you don't go to the Google. Don't go on the internet. Stay off. I'll do the research, because she had a very rare cancer. So by the time mine came around, I have a bit of a sense of humor. So I didn't cry, and it was breast cancer. And what I am is an advocate. One of the things I'm truly an advocate is that you need to test. Go have your mammograms. I am lucky I'm alive, because I was being stubborn and I didn't go when I was supposed to go. And when I did go, I got the call. Oh, we need you to, and so I knew the radiologist that was doing my test, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, so what are we looking at? She goes, well, I can't really tell you, but if it acts like a duck and squawks like a duck, most likely it's a duck. I said, okay, so I got a duck. Now I got to figure out what to do with this duck. So I actually, being in Southern California and being very lucky, and it's a matter of the attitude. I knew right off the bat, this duck and I were going to have dance, and then I was going to kick the duck to the curb and go on. And it's just a chapter in my life, right?
Period.
So, however, since it was my very first mammogram, and I was in my 50s when I had it. So yeah, bad, naughty, Matt, don't do that. That is one of my messages. You got to go in for the testing, no matter how busy your life is. Your life depends on it. So I thought, okay, I have a lake around the corner from me. And so I was talking to the family and like, okay, well, if it's not the best case scenario, what we can do, and they're like, we'll give you a Viking send-off. I said, oh, awesome. We'll have a barbecue. And you guys can, and I had a little grandson at the time, he liked Mickey Mouse Club. And so it was like, okay, then you guys we'll have him sing to Nana, hot dog, hot diggity dog, problem solved, and so we were just laughing about it because there's a lot of release through the humor and the laughter. And so that's how I handled it. I'm also a bit of a Girl Scout, so I got every book and every list I could get before I went to treatment. And I did go through, that's my doctor in that video. That's my doctor.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is all us right there. That's all us. The voice is my board member. I mean, he's the one that put that together. This is us. And so I had my list and I packed everything that thing said to, and at the time we had a little car, and I had to go from Southern California. Anybody knows I'm out more towards Palm Springs, and I was going towards Disneyland, and we had snow that day, so the freeway was closed. So got up in the middle of the night to go, had the car packed, snow, the whole thing, and then they put me in a corner and they start all the stuff that they start. I then have Benadryl because they're trying to get it so not the side effects. I fall asleep. All of a sudden, a voice, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm asleep. And in your sleep and you're listening to that voice and I'm not sure where I am. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing my face is on fire. My throat is closing up. My eyes are itching. I couldn't open my eyes. And I'm trying to figure out where this voice is coming from. And I'm thinking, and that initial, I couldn't say anything. I was having a severe allergic reaction. The doctors and nurses all took care of things. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened. Couldn't ever have happened because that voice ended up belonging to my original buddy that started this whole thing. And they took care of me. I lived, and then they started putting us together because they saw something. They saw something, a synergy between the two of us. Picture this. She comes in, and I mean comedy, like stage comedy. I'm watching her like, oh my, who's this? Because she originally was from Cuba, and she came out on the Freedom Flights. And she was, comedy like Lucy and Ricky Ricardo rolled into one. And so they started putting us next to each other. And we traveled our journey for a year and a half together. Every 3 weeks, we had to go into the chemotherapy room because we did go through traditional, and because of the treatments that we had. And all of our surgeries combined, we had like double-digit surgeries. We did all of it together. And the nurses and the doctors start calling us double trouble. Ha! Here they come. Double trouble. Here they are. Double trouble. And then they called us party bus. We didn't know that one until later. And they set us up, and then they started saying, we need to bottle you. And then they started saying, we need to do something. And then when we graduated, because I was done after a year, but she wasn't done for a year and a half, I wasn't going to let my buddy go alone. So I drove in every 3 weeks with her. And so then we worked with our nurses, and we were not going to ring a bell. Oh, no. We brought coconut bras, put them on the chemo poles. We brought, Hawaiian leis for everybody. We had Beach Boys playing. We had a luau. A luau. And we told our nurses, stack the room as you want because of HIPAA. We couldn't know. And everybody, they came to chemo in Hawaiian shirts. And our doctor was wearing one of those aprons, coconut bras and grass skirts, Dr. Smith. And so it became notorious. Yeah, we became a legend. And then they kept on because you go for follow-up visits. And half a year after that, so 2 years in, my nurse, I'm scheduling everything because I was that wasn't commonly released. She was. I'm scheduling this, and my nurse looks up because she's sitting there, and she looks up at me very serious, and she says, "When are you going to do something about this?" Because they had been lobbying for us to do something, that we were unique and we were changing the frequency. They knew when we were coming, and they saw it. And she then tells me this, Carlotta, she told me, and this is, she told me that one of the people that was there at that luau, the only time they saw her smile was that day. That was it. She was not the sickest one in the room. And she had just gained her wings because she gave up. She gave up. She did not have a good situation. I don't know which one she was. I'll never know. But the story has stayed with me ever since. And then they started telling me more and more stories, and the due diligence was done, and the science is there, and on and on. So it was, okay, let's do this. And then a download came, and the download how to do it came. And it hasn't changed. It hasn't deviated at all. So when I put my name in the hat for the Impactor, I knew I was running on this platform, and that at some point, and I knew that in winning the Impactor, and there she is right there, the trophy, in winning that, it would accelerate, because I know that we will be global. And in honor of one of my mentors and one of my board of advisors, Frank Shankwitz, who was the co-founder of Make-A-Wish, who just passed. And tomorrow on Service Heroes, his assistant's coming in. We're going to talk about him more tomorrow and honor him and her for the work that was done. And when he finally agreed to be one of my mentors and advisors, he'd been watching for a while. And he asked me, when we were talking, he asked, okay, so where do you want to go? And I said, quite honestly, everybody knows Make-A-Wish. They don't know your name. We now, because of the Wishman movie, we know a little bit more about him. However, when you say Make-A-Wish, you know exactly what it is. Someday, when you say, okay, you're dealing with this, you need a buddy. That's all you're going to need to say. It's all you're going to need to say. And everybody throughout the world will know when we've built this that they know what that means. And they'll go get a buddy. And then it's healing. It's a threefold thing, because not everybody needs a buddy with someone else. Sometimes you need a buddy with yourself. You need to start here. You need to figure out who you are. And a lot of people that are sick, their cells are kind of cattywampus because they didn't get to maybe the heart of the matter, and they didn't heal the heart of the matter. And so now they're dealing with this, yet they can, and they are. And then the second fold with buddies, having a buddy that you can relate to, because the way it's set up right now in a chemotherapy chair, you have two chairs. You have the patient and you have the support person. And what are they doing? Because they're not coming from the same chair. They're two different chairs. And too many people, that stress tears them apart because you come to it with what you had before. And so when you have someone that can understand you, this can become loving, and then you can be heard by someone else. And then community. Having community, and it's been proven left and right and all up and down, everywhere, that community is one of the most important things that we can have in our life. And healing through connections.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Tamara, you just mic dropped all along the way. I absolutely love the story. I love knowing the forming of Chemo Buddies, for life. I just love that. The way you just wrote it out, the connections, the stories, so much strength there. Let's go ahead and just dive into, like, were there any just hard times where you just never knew you was gonna make it out? Did you ever have those moments, or were you always so optimistic?
Now, in regards to my cancer, or in regards to building the nonprofit?
Well, let's just talk about the cancer right now.
Okay, that's a good question, because did I ever worry that I wouldn't make it out? No, I always knew I would.
Yes.
However, I did not know if I could make it through a moment, and a second was way too long, and a minute, whoa, that was eternity. Because my doctor, the one you saw there, said that I won the trophy or the award for side effects. I had so many of them, and they were painful, they were tough, they were hard, they were everything. And I even lost my voice. And so I had the buddy, but I couldn't talk to her. And it was during a really bad cold and flu season. So guys, I was put in solitary confinement, is what I call it. Basically, I was pre-COVID, I was put in, lockdown in my own home. We had 4 generations living here, and I had pneumonia in the house, and then bronchitis, and I'm going through my own cancer journey. Well, then we found out why we were having so many problems in the house. Little did we know that my mother also at the time was suffering from cancer, and she ends up being the why behind the why for everything.
Wow. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Champion, last one standing, you a champion. Anybody winning, you a champion. Everybody winning, you a champion. 24/7, nothing in between. All of this golden and turn me a king. To be the greatest, you gotta compete. Hot like the sun, I'm bringing the heat. One verse when it can't stop. I was made to win, it was made as a copy. It's obvious, I bodied this. So if we top 10, I'ma top the list. Gotta do it for your team, put the city on the map. Never argue back, tell them look at the stats. No matter where you at, leave it all on the track. Cause winners gon' win and the losers gon' chat. Yeah, you can tell by my step on the field, I'm a champion.
I'm Marshall Thompson, the Unknown Warrior, WKA MMA National Champion. If you want to be the best, come train with the best.
All right. Joining us, we have Tamara Hunter, and she is sharing her powerful story of how she overcame cancer. But not only that, about her powerful nonprofit. So be sure to tune in and be sure to share this live with at least 5 people you love. Now, Tamara, go ahead and just break the entire nonprofit down. And I heard you say global. Explain to us how your nonprofit is a global nonprofit and how people can help and what they need to do.
Thank you for the questions, because breaking it down, bottom line is, I don't know why someone didn't do this before, quite honestly, truthfully. And in fact, when I was going through my cancer journey, I needed what we're building. And everyone that is figuring it out that we are now here are like, we got to get this message out there, because we need to let people know that we're online. That's why we're global. And there's some amazing brick and mortar, and especially pre-COVID, really great brick and mortar locations. However, I was put in solitary confinement, remember, guys? And literally, I was not allowed out of my room. I had no voice because I had chemo sores on my vocal cords. My face, let's just say I got a double whammy from my internal chemotherapy, because I also had been treated by an oncology dermatologist that was about to do some of that, topical stuff. I didn't have to do that because he's like, oh no, you're getting bigger bang for your buck. Ha! You're getting, double dose. So, it was doing stuff for not only breast cancer, but skin cancer. So, the premise of, and why we knew it could work, was the doctor in the video. He was the one that pointed out a study in 2017 out of the United Kingdom that talked about those that are isolating themselves, going through chemotherapy, are not living as long. The percentage has been decreased. It is science. It's in journals, guys. Journals. And so the fact that you have to isolate yourself, you guys understand that now. COVID. Need I say more? Yet we're not isolating ourselves because we have the internet. We have things like this. We have Zoom and all, phones now, that all this different technology. Well, when we started this, no one was doing anything like this because it was pre-COVID, and very few businesses, some. And yet we got this download that we needed to do the buddies, and I spoke with my buddy through my fingers. So, and I remember the conversations like I was talking to her, like I was in the room with her, and that, yet I didn't use my voice. I didn't have one. I used my fingers, and and I had been underground. And so because of my past history, I kind of brought that up. And so I started social media to be able to talk to her. So I get an anniversary reminder of the day after my first chemotherapy every year. Whoa, another happy anniversary for Messenger, because that is how we communicated. So I knew that it worked. And so from there, how does it work now? Well, in the very beginning, I was a recruiter. I was a headhunter. That's what I did. I put people and companies together. So putting buddies together, that was not a big stretch. However, I think really big, very big, very big. And I thought in the very beginning, when we start this, we'll have a Facebook page, we'll have a YouTube channel, and we'll have a website, matching site. Oh, it's going to be perfect. Oh, no. I crashed and burned 3 websites because I tried building them myself. And then but what we did was we went live on Facebook, and that's where we started. And since then, and that was October the very 1st at 12:01 a.m., we turned on the Facebook page, and that was 2017. And since then, now we're all social media. We have had 3 big events for the Giving Tuesday, streaming live, 24 hours back to back the first year. And then after that, and I declared, even I think on the stage at the Impactor, that we will be the next Jerry Lewis telethon. We're on our way towards that, guys, modern day style. And so now what do? We put together buddies, yes, and you can have more than one buddy. And some are in the website, some are in the community, some of them I still put together manually. And then we have ambassadors. We have education that comes into our closed groups. And also that then they can go in, they can watch them. Then we also have a site that's been built. We have a little bit of work still to do on it, but at some point they'll be able to match themselves. And so, and a lot of it is still the human touch, though it is through the phone, it's through Messenger, it's through Instagram, or all the different mediums. And so the bottom line is this: buddies are starting to understand that we don't have to fear that diagnosis any longer, and that we have the power to kick that cancer to the curb.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we have pronounced it, and we say it all the time: humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love. And that's what we share. We even have a song now that's been sung. It's in 2 different forms. It's amazing. We premiered. I'm now a co-writer because I helped write it. We needed
co-writer.
Yeah. So and we have 2 amazing versions of it, of which one of them we had an amazing saxophonist that played on it, Brian Thompson. He was featured. And then we had Victor Orlando, who was the percussionist to the Stars, Gap Band, and all sorts of stuff. He's on it. On our last big event, even Melissa Manchester came on, and she announced to the world that buddies, what a concept. What a concept, and we need them. We got to pull these people out of the shadows and into the light. And that it actually is not that difficult when you think about it. It's a simple concept. There's no reason why we cannot, all of us, united, make this happen. You, Carlotta, with your grandmother, so many, in honor of those, my grandfather, my mother, my stepfather, in honor of the many buddies that now that have gained their wings. And now we have a heavenly host of buddies that we've got a lot of superpower in our court. You talk about, that's why the Service Hero show actually came about, was because some of my buddies were ready to give up because of the news and everything. And I'm like, not on my watch. We're not letting that happen. So, like kids, you don't do it in front of them. You let them find you. I started on my Facebook page and telling inspiring stories of people that are doing inspiring things. And so that they would see there's a reason to live. And kind of like Groundhog Day, sometimes, and I just watched it because it was just Groundhog Day. I love that movie. It's so well done when you look at it, because you go through all those different emotions, right?
Yes.
And then you come to that higher power, your higher self, the higher frequency. And when you have those teeter-totter days, we call them chocolate days. This book here, the Celebration Journal, we give them out. It's kind of like our little thing. And it talks about chocolate days. We don't call them pity parties. We don't talk about anything like that. Sometimes we need a chocolate day, but you have to really want it, call upon it. And you know what? And having a group of people where you can just say, I'm having a really bad day, because that's why we call it a chat. If they come in, and if they're saying they're having a really bad day with their fingers, all things stop. All things go to the heart of the matter.
Wow.
And Shannon Green, one of our, love you, Shannon. And we go to the heart of the matter, and we make sure our buddy's okay. And then we'll go on. But we don't stop until we know our buddy's okay.
Wow. Tamara, tell me, what inspired you to start, even want to found a nonprofit such as Chemo Buddies for Life?
I come from the business side of things, and I had not ever done, I volunteered for nonprofits. I didn't want to. Truthfully, I wanted to find one that was doing this that I could just put my energy into and make it better. Wow. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I looked for. And it wasn't out there.
Wow.
And I had just semi-retired because I had been that person that works from sun up to sundown, 3 jobs. There's a whole nother story. Yet the bottom line is I'm disciplined, and I'll find a way over, under, and around, and whatever. I'll kick through those stones if I have to. I'll take the hammer and sledgehammer to them so that we can work through them, because that if we need to do it, we will. There'll always be a way. So again, like that little girl going to the principal, there's always a way to make it work. And so when I realized, I looked for every reason for it not to work. And then the download came. The download came. I'll never forget the day. Whatever your beliefs are, the nonprofit is completely doesn't, we accept everyone, all beliefs, all countries, all creeds. You can be polka dot. I don't care. Everybody welcome. You just can't hurt anybody. That is our rule. It's a safe place. However, I'm a believing person and personally, and an intuitive, raised in a family of intuitives, taught to be intuitive, generational, a lot of power there. I've not talked a lot about that, my, generations, and the difference. There's no doubting. There is absolutely not 1 ounce of a doubt. It's a calling. So I said, okay, I'll show up. You show up. I'll show up. We'll show up together and we'll make this happen. Even with the Impactor, there's a story there, and it's too long. However, the bottom line is this: when I flew out to go to the Impactor, I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was said to me by someone in the family, well, we'll know if it was basically a download. We'll know if it really was a calling if your name is called out. You were there.
Yes, I was.
Dom says it really cool. Tamara under. Yeah. And I remember standing there, Carlotta, looking up and like, okay, Mom, and okay, Sharon, who was our senior ambassador who had passed during this whole nonprofit or the next Impactor, and kind of like, okay, this is for you, and we're in this together. And it's another confirmation that this is bigger than myself, than anyone. And so the fact that it's a nonprofit that helps us with the laws of the land. However, this is bigger than a nonprofit. This is an absolute movement, and this is a calling. We recognized not long ago, Martin Luther King Day. He was called to change the world. He was called to change the world with love. We declared beginning of 2020 to be the year of love. And then we saw we needed a lot more than a year. So we declared it to be the decade of love. Now we have a show on E360 on Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Pacific, noon Eastern, called the Tour of Love Show. And it is because we believe love heals. Love heals, guys. Love heals. We can heal the wounds of our world, the epidemic, the real epidemic of our world, with a 4-letter word. If you're a believing person in whatever it may be that you believe in, it's science too. It's science. Yet, what have we been told to do? Love one another. That's the key. And that's where it boils down to. Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Whole lot of love. Tamara, talk to us about your book. We have a few more minutes left before the show will conclude, but we'd love to know about your book. And please, once you finish telling us about your book, just go into, how they can purchase and how they can find you. And if they want to volunteer, I see we have some viewers who are interested in volunteering. Give us all the details.
We're looking always for volunteers. We're looking. This is massive, guys. And this book here, Mastering Our Mountains, I'm one. It's a chapter book. However, my name is on it. They did put my name on it, featuring Tamara Hunter. The thing about this book, it took 2 years to make this book, actually. And there's a football player, NFL player in here, and there's a lot of people that have dealt with cancer in here. Amazing stories. And it's Mastering Our Mountains is about that. There's no mountain that's too big. We can master every single mountain out there. And it's stories of mastering our mountains. So, and they're quick little reads, and they're very inspirational. And I'm proud to be a part of this program, this book. I have been a part of other ones too. We did the Impactor one, so there's that one, and that talks about my first senior ambassador. And you can find this on Amazon. You can find it, Mastering Our Mountains, and Jennifer Baker is the lead author because it was out of a summit that we all did. Yet we ended up combining. It's just, I'm really proud of the project. I am proud of the project. And then how you can find us, it's easy. CB for the number 4L. So cat, boy, the number 4, life or love, Chemo Buddies, which we're going through a name change. Can't really give it out yet because it's not legal, but we're going through a name change and we want it easy. So it's CB4L.org. Org, because we're a nonprofit, 501c3. However, the best place to find us for the group is on Facebook, the Chemo Buddies for Life community. It's a closed group, Chemo Buddies for Life community. And right now we're utilizing that platform. At some point we'll move it over to our website. However, right now we're utilizing this, and every single day. Tomorrow's open mic night, and so I see your mic back there, and we all get in there, and it can be a different subject, but it's a safe place. So everything we talk about, it's like Vegas, guys. Wink, wink. Everything that takes place there stays there. Yeah.
Amazing. What about your Instagram handles, how they can follow you on social media?
I'll tell you this. One of the ones I'm really proud of, the Service Hero Show. And the reason why is it all leads back to the buddies. However, that is something that's been going on, and I started 365 Days of Awesome, a challenge, and it's hilarious. Go back to the old shows if you want to laugh a lot. And so you can go to Service Hero Show on Instagram, Service Hero Show, at Service Hero Show. My name, Tamara L. Hunter, or you can go Chemo Buddies for Life. Chemo Buddies for Life. Those are the 3 brands. You can go to my website. That's kind of like a hub. That's a hub. You can then find the brand that you want, and it will take you through a portal, kind of like time travel, through the internet. So it's my name, TamaraLHunter.com. TamaraLHunter.com. It's that easy.
Wow, I'm so grateful to have you today as a guest. Your story is incredible. The mission is so powerful. Your point of view on life is simply amazing. And someone needs to catch that, because hopefully if they hear your story, Tamara, they will be inspired. Their heart will be lifted, and it will make the world a much better place. So thank you for joining us today. Incredible story.
Thank you. And you're going to be coming on to the Service Hero Show.
That's right.
Yeah, so that is going to be on February the 15th, guys.
That's right.
The day after Valentine's. Don't forget.
Don't forget. Thank you. And I'm honored to be your guest as well. Thank you so much, Tamara, for joining us today. You have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Incredible story. I would like to thank Martial Arts and Academy for sponsoring today's episode of The Heart of the Matter. Thank you, guests, for tuning in. And it's always a blessing to have you on. Be sure, no matter how you are viewing this show, whether it's by YouTube, Facebook, E360 TV, Apple TV, Roku. Should I go on? Hey, however you are viewing it, be sure to share with 5 people that you love. You never know who you may inspire today.
Thank you for tuning in to The Heart of the Matter. If you would like to sponsor an episode or be a guest on the show, email theheartofthemattershow@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday for another amazing episode.